Good morning, everyone, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and happy Mother's Day to the weekend mom. And we are going to be taking tomorrow off, actual Mother's Day off. So I want to let everybody know that there'll be a replay of probably today's show for tomorrow in case you miss it live. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do the copyright disclaimer and we'll get started on our topic. And our topic this morning is going to start with immortality. I just thought that was I've been investigating immortals here lately, and I'm kind of amazed at what I've found. So, copyright disclaimer is this channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the Fair Use Act. The Fair Use Act is the Copyright Act of 1976. Nighthawk Strange's podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use of any and all content to be used for the sole purpose of informing you, the viewing family, of information for criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and let's not forget General Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known as the Fair Use Act. All righty, let me get for everybody to see, and everybody just kind of watch. I mean, you've probably seen this before. For those of you that watched the show last night, but the reason I wanted to do an immortality show is because there's a lot of things that just don't add up. Okay, and I'm going to try, and Eric's going to try to connect some dots here and figure out where this crazy world lies with immortality. So here's the short clip. It's only like 50 some seconds long. And I want you to pay attention to the person's facial expressions and the hands, the fingers on the hands.
Hmm.
Okay, hold on. It's stalled. Let me go down here and re-hit it again. Okay. It should work now. Now, I thought that clip was very interesting, and let me tell you why. I've watched that clip repeatedly, time and time again over the last 48 hours, and something just tells me that that person is definitely immortal. And the reason I say that is because that is a woman, okay, apparently from what the interviewer says. Um, the way she doesn't want to make eye contact, okay, and the way she tries to hide her hands. She's doing everything inhumanly possible to try and not let on to like she's different from anybody else on that sidewalk in that city. I'm still trying to research the city where that was filmed at, and as soon as I find that out, I will let everybody know. But that is the reason I wanted to talk about immortality today. Okay, so Eric, I don't know. Do you know much about the immortals?
Well, I mean, there's several stories throughout history of immortals. You know, you got the gods, you got the fallen, you got the watchers, you got Lilith, you got vampires. I mean, the list can go on and on and on throughout history. Um, you know, it's man that I'll tell you that video clip is very interesting to me. So, one, yes, can you file your teeth to look a certain way? Absolutely. Can you make your fingernails look, file them, and make them look a certain way? Absolutely. But the color of her skin, the shape of her face, and the fact that her hands kind of look like it's, I forgot the term, but anyways, it's blackened from death. Usually only comes about with frostbite or something like that. You know, lack of blood circulation to a appendage will cause it to black and die. And you're seeing that in this video. So, I mean, and that's intriguing.
Right.
Really, really intriguing. I mean, can it still possibly be a fake?
Yeah.
Yes, it still possibly
And
could be, but I'm
yeah,
leaning towards, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's pretty compelling to me.
yeah, it's definitely questionable as far as yeah, it's pretty
Mhm.
convincing. You're right. You're absolutely right. Um, the whole concept of immortality. I mean, if you think about it, if that individual is a vampire, like
Mhm.
myself and Dennis were talking about last night, um, then that would make them immortal because they're already dead,
Mhm.
pretty much. Um, but if that person is demonically possessed and taken over, although the demonic aspect of the being would be immortal, the flesh would not be.
Mhm.
So because it would soon deteriorate. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I have done a pretty in-depth study into immortality and Romulus and Remus. One raised by wolves and the other by bat. Um, that very interesting story, and it also leads into the whole vampiric and werewolf thing. Um,
Mhm.
so do they have the capability of living forever? I would say, from what I have found, that is unequivocally yes, they can. Um, they have that capability um, if they want it to be that way. Here's the thing, though. A lot of my research that I've done on the whole immortality aspect of it and reverse imaging searches and stuff like that. I have come across several politicians, several dignitaries, several famous people that have been either A, photographed, B, painted, or C, described as certain hundreds and hundreds of years ago, if not thousands of years ago. One of them, for instance, is Barack Obama. The ex-president, puppet master. Um,
Been president.
he is actually depicted in an Egyptian hieroglyph. So from the
Hmm.
times of back before 2,500 years ago, before Christ was born. And there's just so many of them that are coming up as far as showing that they're older than most. I mean, what kind of proof do we need to actually let us be enlightened to the fact that there are beings living amongst us that have that capability of living forever? or at least if they don't live forever, what about 900 years, or like the Bible, the time of the Bible? Um, there was a tribe in Africa that I found out through my research, and I've been studying this for probably the better part of a year now. Um, and the research of this tribe, this Doctors Without Borders doctor, was there, and he was trying to give this certain family inoculations to keep them healthy. So they say. Okay. Um, anyways, he looked at the one guy, and and was the guy's probably in his 20s, early 20s, and the young man goes, or the doctor goes, you're in pretty decent shape. I don't think you're going to need the inoculation. And he says, well, if you think I'm in good shape, you should see my grandfather. And here, lo and behold, outside this doctor's in the waiting area um, in Africa was his entire family. And we're not just talking family that is like a father, a son, a father, and a grandfather. Okay. That's typically what you would see on a normal family. Okay. That's actually living at the same time. But this individual had himself at 20 years old, his father at about 50 years old, his grandfather at 100 years old, and his great grandfather at 120 years old, and his great great grandfather at 160 years old. Okay, this was just discovered recently. Okay, this family that they had in Africa, and they were from a specific tribal lineage that used to eat the seeds of apricots and the seeds of every vegetable and plant that they could get their hands on, along with the vegetable and plants. Okay. Um, now, I know for a fact it says in the Bible when God says, I give you fruit to eat, and you have to eat the whole thing. It's seed and all. Okay. Now, does that have the capability of making somebody almost immortal? I don't know, but we would have to research it even further. Now, this
Yeah.
tribe of people, of Aboriginal people in Africa, are located right next to Ethiopia. Okay, which is kind of ironic with the Ethiopian Bible having more books in it than the regular Bible does. What are your thoughts on that, Eric? And everybody in the chat, girl with a gong, Monica, good to see you. Um, Ray, good to see you. Let's see.
Ozzy Sue's
Ozzy
in the
Sue, good
house.
to see you. Kyle, good to see you. Good to see everybody. All right. Awesome. 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 Anyways,
Yeah. So I mean,
I just, I just find it odd how goes the video feed.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
boy. I
you're
think these solar
paused.
flares are still messing with us.
Could be. I didn't even catch the northern lights that we were supposed to have
Hmm.
here, but if you go by Norse mythology, they call that the Bifrost Bridge. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean all that is it's really interesting. I was always grew up told don't eat the seeds, but if you actually listen to a lot of ancient stuff, they always look at the seed of life. Everywhere in ancient history it talks about the seed of life. You know. So hey, good morning, Tracy. How you doing, sis? Hey, Starflower, good morning. Um, they all talk about this kind of stuff. And look at the ages they lived. I mean, look at that one Sumerian emperor who reigned for, what was it, 14,000 years, 12,000, 14,000 years, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean,
Yeah,
people with long
there was
lifespans back
one.
in
There was
ancient
one.
times. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was one Sumerian from the Sumerian kings list, the first one that lived 76,000 years.
Yeah, that's it. That's another one I was trying to remember. Yeah. So I mean, you got this stuff now. Can I say it's immortality? No. Can I say extended life? Absolutely. Now, is there some things out there that could be immortals? Yeah. I mean, look at Lilith. Look at vampires. Look at I mean, Saint Germain. We talked about him, about a month or so ago. So I mean, all that stuff's a possibility. Could that be possession? Could that be supernatural? I mean, I'm leaning more towards the supernatural side of it when it comes to immortality. But I mean, you listen to all the ancient stories about the gods. The gods were immortal. Only one god can kill another god. So essentially, they were immortal. So man, yeah, the possibilities out there. Demigods were known to live for extended amount of time. Uh, they weren't immortal, but they stayed younger. Maybe I'm a demigod, man. At my age, I still
Yeah,
got very few gray
and
hairs.
that's
Hmm.
right.
So, but go ahead, brother.
No, you're just a fluffy.
Fluffy hillbilly.
Uh,
But no, I mean, and that stuff, this stuff
uh,
happens. I mean, it's not a freak of nature. I mean, our true setup, how we are meant to be, we're supposed to have extended lifetimes. So, I mean, if you eat right, you do the right things. I mean, you do this stuff, you're going to have an extended life. Like I'm the oldest out of four brothers. I've got my half brother, who's the baby of us all, and then my two step brothers, and I'm the oldest out of the four. And most of them have lost pretty much all their hair or grayed out, and I'm still got quite a bit of mine left. I'm losing it, but I've got quite a bit of mine left, and I still got quite a bit of color left in me. It's all about how you live your life. You do the right things. It's get away from them GMO crap. Get away from them hormones and steroid filled crap. I mean, get back to nature. I mean, that's something we talk about all the time on your show and on mine. Get back to nature, and you're going to have the extended life. So, eating these seeds, I still eat seeds
right,
from time to time too.
right.
Because that goes right back to what I said earlier: the seeds of life. So by eating these seeds, because that be helping us to rejuvenate ourselves to be able to stay younger
Yeah,
longer. That is possible. I mean, I'm no scientist, so I can't tell you the scientific term if that is
yeah,
true or not. But look at them people over in Africa. Look at a lot of people around the world that's not hit by Western civilization and what they are, how they are compared to us. So I mean, it's very well a very good possibility that is the case.
yeah.
We are. Good morning, Amber. We are the shepherds of this planet. We are created to be the shepherds of the planet. Now, these things we're supposed to eat both plant and animal, but we're only supposed to eat what we need, not more, not less. Eat what we need. So it's called being a good
Right.
shepherd, and that's I think that's probably my opinion, my theory. That's probably the key to it right there for extended life is be doing things proper way, the way our creator, meant for us to be. So all that's possibility. But I'm still kind of leaning towards immortality just from my studies. I haven't studied it extensively as you have, but from what I've read throughout the years, a little bit here, a little bit there, everything I've read that deals with immortality it's been something supernatural in one form or another.
Well, yeah, it goes back to that what I said in that one podcast that we were talking about with Saint Germain, that I believe that we are all given a choice, and that's the whole part about free will. And it was explained to me one time, and in fact, I think it was a research paper that I did for learning about immortality, the elixirs of life and all that, the fountain of youth, the whole supernatural thing, curses and all that. Um, but when you say that we are designed, we literally are designed to live forever if you embody the soul as living
Mm-hmm.
as a living um but there are literally several thousand individuals, political individuals, politicians, famous people in movies and music, and famous families that have certain genetic traits, um, that are literally repeated in time over history. And I almost now I know Lucifer, the fallen one, and the fallen ones are immortal because they were angelic at one time, and they are still classified as that too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they are demons and all that too. So I do believe that that aspect of the supernatural is an immortality thing, and the same with angels, like the archangels. Um, but where does man fit into that? Because clearly our species has been messed with for a very long time, genetic wise.
Mm-hmm.
Not the first species on this planet. Um, I've heard countless lectures on how we came from another dimension, or we came from here from another planet, um, because we destroyed the
Mm-hmm.
one we were on, and now here we are again destroying another planet that we're on. That actually our species isn't even supposed to be a part of. Um, being Native American, there's a saying that the sacred hoop has been shattered. Okay. And that
Yep.
sacred hoop connected man, woman to the earth. Okay. Um, that is why indigenous people around the world have such a respect and a protective feeling for the land on which they walk. Okay. We try to protect it as much as we can, like, pipelines being put in, and you know demolition dynamite being used to mine for gold and uranium and all this, and taking it out of Mother Earth's belly. I do believe that we in the past had the ability to live longer, although
Mm-hmm.
history will tell us that we lived shorter amounts of lives. But history never really went very far into checking the theory of immortality. What's to say
Mm-hmm.
we're not in a soul cycler that just rejuvenates our soul back to our body at birth again? Maybe the light at the end of the tunnel when we're dying is the the sacred feminine, the womb, where we are birthed out of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I mean, you also got to consider this factor too. If you actually study our genetics, the genes inside of our body, we have a lot of stuff that's tied to Mars. So, I mean, there's a lot of theories that that's where we came from. Our atmosphere was destroyed either by us or by a natural disaster. Whichever side of the fence you want to be on, that's on you. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other how it is, because I'll tell you the truth. I honestly don't know what side of the fence it is. But we came from Mars to here because we have a lot of stuff similar to Mars and within us. So, we're known as the star people. For you look at a lot of ancient history, we're known as the star people. Oh yes, Tracy. Actually, I just happened to look down, seen she said the same thing. Yeah, I mean, well, that's what we're known as. Look at what is it? The Navajo talk about we come from the stars. The Aborigines in Australia talk about we come from the stars.
the
A lot
Hopi.
of your ancient cultures talk about,
Yeah.
yeah, Hopi. Thank you. A lot of your ancient ancestors talk about this stuff. I mean, the Hopi still do the star dance where set up, or not the Hopi. There's a place in South America. You still get up on that pole, and literally it takes about all day, and they kind of spin down. It's a dance they do, and that's the represented coming from the stars. I mean, there's so much stuff in our ancient history that talks about this is where we come from. Native Americans called Dogman and Bigfoot our elder big brothers, their first beings, for the reasons they were here before we were, you know. And a lot of them will tell you that, we came from another place to here. This was originally their land. We just inhabited it and kind of like cockroaches just, bred out and took over everything. It's exactly how it is. So, and like,
Right.
I've always said, I've been a firm believer that, if God created us here, then what's to say he didn't create other life forms everywhere else? I've always believed in UFO and aliens because I was like, it makes sense. I don't see God making, I don't see Yahweh making just one set of people. I see him making several different sets. I always think logically and outside the box. And that's just how my brain works. Well, throughout the years, you're finding more and more evidence of that being true. I mean, it's all in ancient history, and that's why we need to study it. It's yes, you should study ancient history, not to repeat it, but in some things, I believe we need to repeat it. We need to get back to that way. There's a lot of things in ancient history that we really need to
Right.
get back to. We need that connection back to Mother Earth. That is one key thing. We need to get reconnected to Mother Earth. I think that's a big part of a lot of things to help us is that reconnection, creating that loop again, keeping him within the great circle. You got to keep within that great circle. You got to keep that in mind. Keep the medicine wheel in mind. Keep a lot of practices. I've said this on the show many times. Every time, even when I put up a tent or even my house, my opening to my lodge faces east, the direction of birth. That is the first direction, east. That's birth. Get back to a lot of that stuff. We really need to do that. East is also the first direction the sun comes up. We're star people. What is the sun? The sun is a star. What happens if we don't get enough sunlight? Our vitamin D just completely plummets, and we have to get back out there to get some more. So I mean, this is stuff that you got to think about, folks. Like I'm joking about saying, hey,
Right.
I'm 45, look at me. If I shave all this off, I look a shit ton younger than what I am now. That's why I keep all this on here because I get tired of getting carded for tobacco and alcohol. So I mean, I got a baby face. That's why I keep this on here. And other than that, I'm used to it now. But this is kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's all about how you live your life. Can I say that we're going to be immortals? No, I will not. I can't say that. There's not enough proof in my research to say that we could be immortals, unless something supernaturally happens to us to become one. I did my short story, did the uncut short story for you guys because a lot of you guys wanted the uncut short stories that I'd put out originally. So the one, The Terror of the Night, which deals with werewolves, that was a supernatural thing that happened to him that changed him. And that's kind of where my mindset is on it. I could be completely wrong though, guys. I won't deny that. I could be 100% completely wrong. But I do believe that we are meant to be living a hell of a lot longer than what we do. I really do. And it all goes back to, like I said, your practice is how you eat and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just my
Yep.
take on it.
Girl,
We'll call you
girl with a
baby
gong
face.
is completely right.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I'm always preaching that, girl. I'm always preaching that. I guess shouldn't say preaching it. I'm always talking about that. I mean, I'm very big on that. Very very big about learning ancient history. Like when I was on.
Right.
So tonight will be released on Jessica's podcast. That I did a show with her again, and it's being released tonight. And I'm always talking about that. Like whenever she was on my show last Sunday, I talked about when you're doing research on something, you not only need to know the history of that area, but you need to know the ancient history behind the subject that you're investigating as well. If you don't know the ancient history behind it, you don't know the truth. That's why we have all these damn theories out there. I mean, just some of this far-fetched stuff that's out there because people only want to go with what somebody thinks now because they want that they want them followers. I want followers. I want likes too. but I'm not going to say something that's total BS just to get it. If I've got 141 followers right now, and y'all are amazing.
Right. Yeah,
I'd rather have
and
that
that's
than
the problem with a
don't.
lot of.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, that the whole fact of the majority of podcasters out there, there is, it's about a 50-50 mix. So
Mm-hmm.
you have your podcasters like us that are smaller, that have the smaller viewing audiences and stuff, that are more informative with the truth, or seeking the truth, than a lot of the bigger ones. Because when you get so big, like Night God 333, who that clip was from, and I'll play that clip again here before we go into the next part of this. Um, they're in it for the clicks and the likes and the shares and all that, because they make money off of it. Okay. The only way
Mm-hmm.
that our channel here makes money is off of the super stickers and super chats and all that on YouTube. Um, so, in fact, there is no other way that it should be made. If they're getting advertisers on their podcast, then they are actually in it for making an income off of it, actually, as a job. But to me, when you're accepting, money for being a podcaster, that puts you in the area of an influencer. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
when you become an influencer, you lose your credibility. Okay, because you don't have that adaptiveness that you need to change your mind, or to support something, because you're exposing that you want to make a living at being on your computer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
um and to me, that's just wrong. Okay, by every aspect of the whole setup, the way it is. I would much rather have a smaller audience,
Mm-hmm.
and have them support us through, like, the stuff off of YouTube and all that, and the stores and all that. Because even the stores, as well as I do, with merchandise and stuff, we don't get the whole 100% of the monies. We only get like a small 8% of whatever it is, 8 to 10%. So, the majority of that money goes to the manufacturer. So, but getting back to the subject of immortality, when we look at it, I think it was proven one time that, that when we die, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the spirit leave the body several
Mm-hmm.
times, especially when I was laid up in the hospital for all those months. Um, so I've been around that. I see that mortal aspect of man. But where the spirit goes from there, you know, you hear so many stories about how spirits are trapped here because they have unfinished business and all that. I wouldn't really call it unfinished business. I would call it that when they transcend into the spirit realm, um, if we go into it not knowing what's on the other side, then we're going to be just as blind on the other side to things happening around us as we are in this body. If that makes sense to anybody, I'm not sure if that makes sense to anybody or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just odd to me how our soul can live forever, our essence, our chi, whatever you want to call it, but yet the body won't. Where that separation lies, and why is what I want to find out. If there are
Mm-hmm.
people that live immortality lives, like Keanu Reeves, um, Obama, Clinton, um, Barron Trump. Um, Man, I can't even remember all of them. There are so many of them, um, that it's just ridiculous. And I mean, we're talking if they aren't the same people, maybe it's just they're recycling back into their soul back into their body and being born over again and going through life stage again. I mean, why couldn't that be possible? Why couldn't that be one of the theories, or one of the results of having your soul recycled?
Yeah.
How do you feel about soul recycle? Is what I should ask everybody.
I mean, there's a lot of cultures that believe in reincarnations. I mean, that is one of the truest forms of soul recycling that there can be. Being reincarnated. One of the most famous ones is oh, I forgot the who all's name. Head guy of Buddha. Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama. Look how many times he's been reincarnated. So I mean, there's so many cultures that believe in reincarnation. To me, for me, in my opinion, my theory is that's one of the truest forms of soul recycling that there can be. Is just doing that kind of that stuff. That's reincarnation. Um, it's
Right.
interesting. I mean,
Well,
it,
what
it
about the
really
young
is. I
man,
mean,
the
is
young
that?
boy? I remember the story of the young boy, that remembered every aspect of a former life, that he was an
Mm-hmm.
airplane pilot during World War II. And he described
Mm-hmm.
everybody that he was associated with, gave names, places, and all that. And they confirmed that this, you know, 9, 10-year-old child was giving legitimate information from the
Mm-hmm.
records. And, is that a case
Look
of,
at that
of
book.
soul recycling? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, look at that boy that talked about what happened to him in Vietnam, it was he was a unnamed soldier, or a missing soldier. They couldn't find him, and he talked about where his helicopter went down, and they searched that area, and lo and behold, they found that helicopter and all the remains of the soldiers that were killed, that were missing. I mean, there's another example right there. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, oh yeah, I mean, is that a form of immortality? In a way, yeah. I mean, look at okay. So there's a lot of cases of
Right.
immortals, gods, deities and stuff like that. And even there's even evidence in the pyramids of this happening, where their mortal bodies are getting old and frail. And they bring in another body and they transfer their consciousness into that new body, and that's how they live for eternity as an immortal. Is because they take their consciousness from their old frail body and put it into a new young body. Um, Same concept as when you die and you get
Right.
reincarnated, just kind of sped up, in the express lane there, basically. But there's plenty of stuff talking about that. The Queen's Chamber in the Great
Yeah.
Pyramid of Giza talked about being one of these places that they separated their soul from their feral and put it into a newer, younger one. Could that be what's happening? I mean,
Well,
take for
let's
instance
talk
that
about
video you
that.
showed.
The
Hmm.
yeah, the King's Chamber. I mean, it could almost be almost like an incubator type of a situation, or a
Hmm.
situation where someone is like, I don't know, when you put them in deep freeze, to rejuvenate them 200 years down the road. I mean, cryogenics. Is that what we're seeing, or is it time travel we're seeing that's making these people, repeat itself in history?
Yeah, I mean that was.
I almost want to say that, with the time travel experiments, that might be the reason we're seeing so much of these certain
Hmm.
people that are in politics and in famous places of Hollywood and the music industry, you know. Maybe
Yeah,
they
that,
were time travelers, part of the Project Looking Glass.
yeah. Well, you know, and that was one of the theories I was going to talk about as well, because we know that Nikola Tesla designed a time machine. Now, if he ever effectively used it or not, I can't say. But we find so much evidence through geological studies and old pictures of modern stuff in a time that shouldn't have been in that time, makes me kind of believe that either A, he knew he built it, or B, they built it after he, died. Um, is all possible. I mean, all that's possible. So could they could be going back in time and altering things? Absolutely. That was one thing with Project Looking Glass that they used. That's why we went over to that big Kiddler box, was to get that device so that we can alter things into the advantage of a certain type of people. Luckily, when somebody took control of a certain deal, another group of people came in that's on our side, got a hold of that, and started changing that back. Could that be why we're having so much Mandela effects going on? That is actually one of the theories of reason why we're having so many of that stuff going on. You know, for instance, when I grew up, I knew that Mandela died in prison, and now he survived and he's president again. I mean, the Mandela effect. So could that be a process of, one group of people having that, going back through time and changing stuff, and then a new group came in and secured it and went back and changed it back to where it should be for the good? Absolutely, that could be a possibility. There's
Yeah.
several evidence of that stuff going
Well,
on.
let's talk about this too then. What about the possibility of, because in a lot of my research that I've done too over the last several
Mhm.
years, I've found that there is certain beings walking amongst us. In the beginning of the podcast today, um, but there's more beings than that just around us on a daily basis that can make us see
Mhm.
different things when they're around, instead of seeing them in a true form. Um, are these beings immortal or mortal? I really have no idea. I would say that if they're not immortal, they actually would live a very long time. And I'm talking about reptilians and other races that have been here before mankind was brought here, and developed as and I agree with, I think it was Ozzy Sue that earlier said something about the slave, that we were made for slavery and brought here. Um, and that may be true. I can't confirm or deny that right now, but I've heard that theory too, and I'm not going to say that that's impractical, but you know, there's so many unanswered questions that we have, with the whole reptilian thing. I mean, my God, we're seeing things like this on trail camera photos. Okay, you know, this is clearly, something nasty. First off, almost vampiric looking,
Yeah.
um, that was caught on a trail camera, and you know, my whole question is, why does this thing have the capability of living forever and humans don't? They say that each of us has God within us. Okay, and if that is true, then why can't we manifest our own, um, beyond a certain limitation, I should say, because manifestation worked for me. I mean, it had me survive another 4 years since I was diagnosed to be dead after 6 months. So,
Hmm.
manifesting does work. Okay, I'm not saying it doesn't. It does work, but you have to believe in it to work. maybe we just need to tap into that aspect of our spirituality a lot more, which is why they say God is in us. Um, I just, there's so many questions I have, and I really have nobody to answer them definitively.
Mm. Is there a way that we actually can? So much stuff has been destroyed of our history and so much stuff lost or hidden from us. The Vatican is prime example of that. There's so much of our true history hidden within the vaults of the Vatican that, I mean, how unless we can get down into it, I don't think we can ever know for sure the truth about a lot of stuff. I mean, we're always going to have these theories and speculations because they're a prime example of a group of people that hides the truth from us because it goes against their narrative and how they want things. I mean, it's a proven fact that the Vatican has controlled the destinies of locations and people and groups for hundreds of years. So
Right. Well, we got about 10 more minutes before we have to close this out, everybody.
mm,
I really, really appreciate everybody being here today. I'm kind of under the weather, and I'm going to be taking tomorrow off too because of Mother's Day. I'm going to spend it with Tracy. And I just want to let everybody know that I appreciate everybody being here, that
mm,
your conversations that you have within the chat are definitely helping and influencing a lot of the things that we question every day. And yes, Poncho, you are right. The Vatican knows a lot more than what they're letting on to
oh yeah,
believe. Um,
yeah,
and I just really wish that that these institutions like the Vatican and like Smithsonian and all that would release the correct information to the public,
mm,
instead of hiding it. So I don't know.
yeah.
Anyways,
I
Eric,
agree.
why don't you explain what you got going on today and your books and stuff real quick after your statement, okay? You go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. That's why I said, I mean, the Vatican, the museums, the governments from around the world, they're all purposely keeping this stuff hidden from us. The old saying, history is written by the victor, that is true to a point, but history is
Yeah, there's
also written by the people in charge.
yeah, there's
So we have to consider that. There are
exactly.
certain groups that are paid to destroy historical sites to keep us from understanding the truth about that stuff. So it's something we got to keep in mind when we're doing this stuff. Tonight, I will be having a
Right.
campfire chats with Eric and guest. That is my non-formal show that was created by you, the people. It is your show. It is your opportunity to come out in a safe environment and talk about encounters that you have. I'll bring you on live if you want to come on live and talk about it, or we can talk about it in chat. Um, that's going to be tonight, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. I mean, we had graduations yesterday, so I've been busy. So I'm like really behind putting stuff out right now, and I apologize to you guys. It's been hectic here. But we will be
Yeah.
having that. I will have a show tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to be talking about magical practices in the Ozark Mountains. So it's going to be part two to the magic of the Ozark Mountains that I did a couple weeks ago. And this is going to solely focus on the magical practices here in the Ozark Mountains. And for those of you know the magical practices of the mountains in your area, you'll find out how very similar a lot of this stuff is. So we're going to be talking about some of the practices that's used in tomorrow night's show. Um, I am a guest appearance on Jessica's show that will be released tonight as well. So keep an eye on that. I had a lot of fun. I have fun doing shows with her. She's such a great, such a great person. So I have a blast doing it, and we hit things from different points of view. So I mean, it's fun. I have currently 5 books published. You can find on Amazon. You go in, type e.d.testerman, and you find my books. You click my name and go to my author's page, and you can follow me. And anytime I do a release, it'll let you know when I have a new book released. Currently got 3 of them out on audio. I'm working on the other 2 to be out. So those will be out soon as well. So, it's been fun. I'm currently working on my other book, my other historical fiction called The Two Brothers War and Turmoil. I'm about halfway done with chapter 10. So I mean, it's fun. I've been having a blast writing it. I like writing in different stuff. I don't like writing in one type. Just whatever tickles my fancy. That's kind of where I'm at. But currently on it, I'm at 80 pages.
Yeah.
80 pages, 25,880 words. Currently on that one right there. So it'd be fun. As soon as I can get it out, I'll get some time. I didn't do no typing yesterday, folks, and I apologize. I was in a lot of pain. My knee was in real bad shape yesterday. I did get up and go to my daughter's graduation because I wasn't going to miss that come hell or high water. Thank you, the girl. They're fun to write. But anyways, and when I got home last night, I went straight to bed. And I didn't sleep well because I was in a lot of pain. So I apologize. I'm not with it this morning, guys, and I apologize. I just didn't sleep well last night. And Roxanne, before you go start it, it's not my fault. I was hurting Roxanne, so you can't give me a hard time for that one. But so I mean, it's a blessing. So I appreciate every one of you guys and everything. So don't forget to go to Williams Bonfire Store and buy his merch, man. You get cool shirts like this right here, and he's got him help to support this man right here. Support his show, support what he does. He's a heck of a good dude. That's why I love wearing this stuff. And I'm going to represent every time I'm on his show with his shirt. I love this shirt. So go to his Bonfire Store, buy his merch.
Thank you, Eric. Everybody, please like, heart, and share this out if you can. And if you will for us, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of all the shows, all the lives and everything, and the videos that we post. So with that being said, everybody that's a mom out there, have a great Mother's Day. Oh, Kathleen, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kathleen.
That means a lot to us. Thank you very much. That means a lot. Mother's Day is a very special day. So I hope all the moms out there, and the dog moms too, all have a great Mother's Day. Kevin, good to see you. Have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody. And we will be seeing you. Remember, I'm taking tomorrow morning off. Okay. So there won't be a podcast through here, but throughout the whole rest of the week, there's going to be a couple. So I'll be posting those here at the end of the day. Okay. So thank you, everybody, for being here and showing the love. And everybody have a great rest of your Saturday, and happy Mother's Day.
Peace, love, and blessings.